Hi, we're Shane and Natalie, and we like to play board games.
Because we're boring.
And we're especially boring because all of our friends live 1,000 miles away or more. So we like to play with just the two of us. And we like to play games that are meant for two people. We like to play games that are meant for more people but require special rules for two people. We even like to play games that are meant for more than two people, and we just kind of try to find a way to make them work. And so today, what we'd like to do is talk about Everdell, although that's not one of those games that necessarily require special rules. There are some special rules for two people that you could use. But in any event, this is a game, and I think it'd be fair to say it's one of our favorite games.
Yeah, this is one we pull out quite frequently, as long as we have enough time to set it up. Set up on this game takes forever.
I wouldn't say it takes forever.
It is one of the games that takes longer to set up.
Well, we recently had a friend come over and actually played this one night, and then he wanted to play it again another night. He set it up after only having played the game once. He set it up all by himself in just a couple of minutes. So I wouldn't say it's that hard.
It took him a solid 5 to 10 minutes. It just, there's a lot of little moving pieces with it. I like the game a lot.
There's a lot of little pieces.
There's a lot of little pieces.
Okay.
And I'm clumsy.
So, first things first, looks. I don't think we need to say much about it. This is one of the prettiest games that there is.
It's gorgeous. It's just stunning. The finish on everything. This is just the regular edition that we bought, I think, at Barnes & Noble. And the finish on everything is stunning. The cards have the beautiful linen finish and are really nice to feel when you don't sleeve them. The resources are very nice as well. They all look very different.
Yeah. One of the things that first caught my eye about this game, I had seen this game in the store actually long before we had a whole lot of games, and I just thought it looked wonderful, just the box, you know. And a lot of times, just looking at the box for something can really sell you the wrong way. But no, this one is actually fantastic. I mean, it has all the little resources. The wood ones are made of wood. There's little amber ones that are this kind of, gem kind of little plasticky thing.
They're cut like, they're faceted. I mean, it's plastic, but it's faceted and it looks like amber.
The little berries are kind of squishy. I like to, chew on them.
Yes, you do. So,
and then the artwork is fantastic. So really, that's not even something that could be said. A lot of people could say that, this game kind of reminds me of like Redwall.
I don't see where the problem is with that, because the covers for the Redwall books are all gorgeous too.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why that would be a complaint.
No, it's not a complaint. It's just a comment. So that's that. What do you think about so how does it work in terms of for two people? Because we've played it now with a third person. Right?
And we've played it multiple times with two people.
With just two. So what do you think?
I like it. It works well for both. I feel like it was more strategic with just the two of us.
I think most games are more strategic with two. We've talked about this before, but when you have 3 people or 4, all of a sudden, you don't necessarily know what's going to happen when your next turn comes around. Because the other person, if it's just 2 people, then what are they going to do? Well, you see what they're going to do, and then you can kind of plan for that, right? It's like, imagine if you played chess. In fact, there is a version of chess which exists for like 4 people.
Why?
I don't know. But you can imagine how would you even know what to do?
Yeah,
and so, now this is not bad for 3.
No, it was still very enjoyable with the third person.
But I think with 2, it's pretty, it's more strategic. Because you know what's kind of going on.
It's still definitely very enjoyable for 2 players. It works very well. I don't think this one has any special rules for 3 players. There's an extra thing that you get when you add another
4.
player. Yes, there were extra things when you add.
There's extra.
Players.
So so the game is let's talk about what the game is. The game is a tableau building game where you're building a tableau of cards with a little bit of engine building as well. If you're a big engine builder, it might seem really slow because it gets going very slowly, but then by the end, if you've done a good job, you're really going on all cylinders.
You're trucking, yeah. There's also some worker placement, too.
And worker placement also is the other major mechanic. So tableau building and worker placement. And with a fourth player, you get extra spots to put your worker. I believe actually with 3 players even, you get extra spots to place them, too.
We didn't get extra spots with the third person. What happened was we got an extra forest location.
Exactly, that's what I mean. A forest location is a spot to put your worker.
I misunderstood what you meant.
With 4 players, you get an extra... You can have 2 people use the same worker placement spot.
Yes.
Whereas with 3 players, that's not the case. But everybody gets the... you get an extra location, but still only 1 person can use it. So, now a lot of people think that for a 2-player game, the biggest complaint about this... So what happens is you have your hand of cards... And then you have the meadow, which is a set of 8 cards that are open for either player or any player to use, right? To purchase. And one of the big things people say is that for a 2-player game, people think the meadow stays too stagnant and that you don't get new cards often enough. What do you think?
I'm not sure if I would agree with that. I mean, the 2 games we played with the third person, I feel like the meadow was far more stagnant in those games than it's ever been in a 2-player game. Now, granted, the meadow in both of those games just consistently sucked. The meadow was consistently terrible for both games. I don't know how that happened exactly, but I thought, at least to me, it felt like the meadow was far more stagnant with the third player than it was when it was just the 2 of us.
I think that's true, although it was probably... I think more randomness than anything.
Yeah.
That having been said, yeah, I didn't feel like the meadow was all that bad in a 2-player game.
No. I've never noticed any problems with it.
There is an optional house rule, which is very popular, where, and I forget exactly how it works, but it's one of these things that's so common out there that it's almost like an official rule in the sense that everybody uses it, where when you have 2 players... I forget if it's every turn or every other turn or something, you discard a meadow card and you replace it. Oh no, I know what it is. That you add a 9th meadow card and you keep cycling through that. So that one changes like every turn or something like that. So you just have this 1 meadow card that's constantly going. We've never played with that.
I don't think we've ever needed it.
We tried, when we bought the game, I had looked into it, and I had that in mind. We wanted to try it the way it was designed first, and that was fine.
Yeah, we've never had a problem with the meadow not cycling frequently enough as a consistent problem. Now, you'll get your occasional game where the meadow doesn't cycle, but that's just random. That I think we had more problems with 3 players than 2, although, again, randomness, because you're shuffling the cards. Yeah. So... I think we might have had 1 or 2 games where that's a problem, but we've played this game probably at least 10 times now, and 1 or 2 games where that's a problem can just be attributed to the shuffling of the cards. That has nothing to do with the game.
What do you think about, okay, so for 2 players, the sort of interaction and engagement. We tend to like a little bit of where you're kind of annoying the other person a little bit. There's
a little bit of that with the meadow, and especially because worker placement for 2 players can get so competitive. Because for most of the slots, you can only put 1 worker there. There are some slots that are open so that anybody can go there, but a lot of the ones that you actually want are closed, meaning only 1 person can go there. So there's a lot of kind of back and forth. Well, not a lot of, but there can be back and forth there depending on the strategy that you're going for.
Yeah, so...
and depending on what the forced locations are.
Yeah, so you might take the thing that the other person really wants. If you're a person that doesn't like that, I would say that this game, it's not so strong that it would probably annoy you. It might happen to be the case that in one particular game, you're just really going for something and then you miss out on it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, if you miss something because the other person took it...
You will probably get it later.
You might get it later, or you might just be able to adapt.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different ways to take it.
This game is an easy one to adjust your... Not easy, but as some... But it is one of the ones that is easier to adjust your strategy kind of on the fly. Like, okay, I'm not getting the cards I thought I was going to get when we were in winter in the first round. So, and now it's summer, so obviously I need to change my strategy. It's a lot easier to change your strategy late in the game than it is in some of the other games we played.
So how do you think that the game, fares in terms of complexity and, depth? How would you say, for you? I think I probably like games that are a little bit more complex than she does. For example, every time, although I haven't played the game, but she has, every time I offhand mention Race for the Galaxy, she has a very bad reaction. So what do you think about this one?
This one, I like the complexity level. I think it's very good. It's not a light game. It is not a light game. I would not classify this as a light game. But it's not a super heavy one either. Although I don't necessarily mind a super heavy game. I just don't like Race for the Galaxy. I don't mind a heavy game. This one I would probably classify medium to medium heavy.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not light, but it's not super heavy.
Yeah, it's not the heaviest game we have.
But it's
not very
you have to think about it.
Yeah, it's not Mancala.
I mean, the first time that you play it, you will probably score very few points.
I think the first game we played, I think neither of us got above 50.
And we usually get at least that. Yeah.
I think the lowest game I've had since the first game we played was the game when I forgot for some reason that we could have 15 cards in our city until I had like 3 things left that I could do and absolutely no way to get any more cards because for some reason I thought I could only have 12 cards in my city instead of 15. So yeah, I kind of cut myself off at the legs there, but that was not the fault of the game. That was me being stupid.
How does the game fare in terms of, replayability? How different is it from one game to the next?
Well, the forest locations, so there are basic forest locations, and then there are, I don't remember what, there's the other forest locations. The other forest locations change every game, because they're the cards that
That's where you can put your people.
Yeah, so some of the worker options change every game, and some of the special events that let you get extra victory points change, depending on which cards are put out. And also, just the meadow changes every time because it's got the cards, so it's got that some element of randomness. So you know what cards, especially after you've played it several times, you know what cards are available, but you don't know when you're going to get them or when they're going to show up in your hand or on the meadow, or if you're even going to get a chance at them because they might all end up in your opponent's hand.
It's kind of different from game to game. Almost in the way that maybe like a traditional card game like poker or rummy or something is. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of what cards do you get this time. That's understating it. Some people don't like the more kind of traditional card games.
I think it's a good comparison. It's a good way to kind of explain. Because it is card. There are cards.
Well, yeah, but it's what I'm saying is that there's more to it than just the cards are different every time. But at a minimum, it's different in the way that poker is different every time. And you can play people that like poker. You can they'll just play it their whole life. I
grew up on card games, not poker, but like euchre, Nerds, which is competitive solitaire. If you haven't heard of it, progressive rummy. I grew up on those games, and my family still plays them. My grandmother still plays them, and she's almost 90.
Yeah, so. There is definitely enough variation. And then there's other things, because your goals are changing slightly from game to game. Your, the way that you're going to go about getting your resources are changing slightly from game to game.
Depending on what cards you have.
Just
depending on what strategy you decide to use.
There's different strategies, too. That's right. Now, those strategies are going to be... So this is actually one of kind of the nice things. Some people might be familiar with Dominion. If you're not, that's okay. But that's a game where there's different cards every game. There's literally hundreds of different cards. Gosh, if I were to calculate the number of possible Dominion games, it would be so big I wouldn't even know what the name of the number is. Right,
it's
for that many,
you would need to use an exponent to properly.
You would need scientific notation, right? So that's a game where what is your strategy from game to game? There's certain set strategies, or not set, but certain defined or types of strategies. But what you choose is going to depend on the cards available. Mm-hmm. And so this is kind of like that in the sense that you're going to get your starting hand, and you're going to get your starting meadow, and that's going to, from there, you are going to need right away to try to pick a strategy that you're going to try to follow at that moment. Mm-hmm. But, so that's almost like a tactical decision. Mm-hmm. There's a mix of you're making an early tactical decision, and you're also starting to plot out your kind of longer term strategy. You're going to need, so the game operates in seasons, right? And there's 4 seasons. Mm-hmm. You're going to need by the second season pretty much to have to determine your long-term goal. But the nice thing about it is you can adapt that and change that as time goes on. Depending on what happens. Mm-hmm. And you might need to because of what's available. So it's got a really nice blend of... it's not like chess where you just decide your opening move, right? You are going to look at the options and decide what strategy is going to work and what tactical decision in that moment is going to work. But you're also going to have to be ready to make adjustments, whether that means you have to abandon that and try to...
switch gears.
Cut your sunk cost and move on, or you need to find a way to buy time to get that strategy to work. There's a real element of like, okay, how long do I hold on to this thing? How long do I let that thing sit in the meadow? How long do I wait?
Do I enter the next season sooner than do I still have moves available, but is it better for me to enter the next season now in order to, because every season comes with different things that you get. Is it better for me to enter now, or should I wait and keep going and do the other things? Yeah. It's a balancing act.
And all of this stuff, again, with the 2 people, I enjoyed it very much with 3 people also. But with 2 people, those decisions are sort of more, they're more intensive. Mm-hmm. They're more important. They're more defined, right? Mm-hmm. So I would say overall, I guess we don't really do ratings, but maybe we should. But if I was going to give this rating, it'd be like a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, this is his favorite game, hands down. I don't know if it's my favorite game, but it's one of my favorite games, so I would probably put it 8 or higher.
Yeah, it's a fun game. Mm-hmm. It is, there's a lot to it. It's very, very, nice looking, mm-hmm. and it works well for two people.
This is also actually something to mention. The duration on the box mentioned is 40 to 80 minutes, and that's actually pretty accurate for this game. Some games we find that the duration that's mentioned on the box is not really accurate, especially for a 2-player game, but that actually is pretty accurate. And a game of Everdell we've had 2-person games take... Usually a game will take like 40 minutes or so. But we've also had games take us like an hour and a half with just the 2 of us. So for once, the duration on this game actually seems to be relevant to a 2-player game.
You can play it as a 1-player game. I am not big on 1-player games, but I mention this because I actually was playing this game on an online game simulator before trying to figure out if we wanted to buy it. Mm-hmm. And that basically I had to play solo games. And the solo gameplay, if that is the kind of thing that you're into at all, if that kind of puts it over the top for you, it's pretty similar to the regular game.
You had me try a solo game before we bought it.
This is a solo game that if I was all alone and the power was out and I had nothing better to do, I might actually use because
which is saying a lot for you. Yeah. You don't like solitaire. It's like that. You'd rather do something else.
Okay, the solo game compared to the real game of Everdell is a heck of a lot closer than the Pro Bowl is to a real NFL football game. So,
I don't know what that means, but okay.
Well, so anyway, so that's Everdell. Let us know what you think of Everdell, and if there are any games which you think that we would enjoy, let us know, and maybe we'll consider looking into it.
Except for cooperative games. He hates cooperative games.
I don't like to be cooperative, at least not when it comes to a game. No, because a game is... I think what makes a thing a game is you're competing. Take a ball. Hit the ball with a stick. You're not doing anything. Have another person see who can hit the ball further. Now it's a game.
Now it's golf, which is one of the most boring games on the face of the planet.
Well, no, now it's baseball. Oh, it is golf, I guess.
You're hitting the ball with the stick into the hole.
But see, I have the same opinion about... So I think that, like, golf is not a sport, but it's a game. I think a sport, you have to be running and sweating and, be...
All the things you hate?
Yes, but I like to see other people do it. Well, anyway,
maybe we should do a video about you complaining about cooperative games and explaining exactly why you hate them.
Bye!
Bye!